Welcome back to Reds Fusion LFC, your ultimate home for all things Liverpool. Today we dive into huge transfer bombshells, Alexander Isak, Marc Guehi, and a potential 190 meters blockbuster raid. Plus, the Carabao Cup third-round draw is out. Liverpool face Southampton while Everton clash with Wolves. Stay tuned, because the Reds are cooking up something massive. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with every twist and turn in the transfer window. Alexander Isak Dream Liverpool shirt number options after 147 meter transfers. Completed Liverpool news as speculation around Alexander Isak's future at Newcastle continues ahead of the summer transfer window deadline next week. Liverpool are in the business end of the summer transfer window with limited time remaining to sign dream target Alexander Isak. The striker is still a Newcastle United player, but that is something the Reds still hope to change. For over a month now, the Isak saga has enveloped the Premier League. Liverpool saw a 110-meter offer rejected after the player indicated he wanted a way out of Newcastle, and since then there has been a war behind the scenes on Tyneside to see whose stance will withstand the pressure. On the one side, the Magpies have been adamant they are not in a position to sell, whilst on the other, Isak has ruled himself out of contention for Eddie Howe's team, resisting the club ownership's latest efforts so he can force a way to Anfield. Claims Liverpool feel they have waited long enough before returning with a second offer and are now lining one up to test Newcastle's resolve again. They felt the 110 minuters presented. The first time was fair market value, but Newcastle have other ideas with a 150-minute valuation in mind. It is a tense scenario with multiple factors at play, but it must come to a conclusion in the next 5 days. Significant part of any completed transfer is the player selecting the squad number he will wear on the back of his shirt throughout his time at the club. In Liverpool's case, Isak could inherit one of the club's most famous numbers if he does move before the deadline. The number 9 is up for grabs after Darwin Núñez was sold to Saudi Arabian side Al Hilal for 46.3 minutes earlier in August. It might be considered a dream for the 25-year-old, who would be wearing the same number for the Reds as he would be doing his country, Sweden. Despite not playing at all this season, he has been called up for the September international break. There are 2 other numbers Isak has worn prominently throughout his professional career. The first is the number 14, which he has worn for Newcastle since arriving in 2022. Of course, the number 14 at Liverpool is occupied by Federico Chiesa, who had been linked with a transfer back to Italy for the best part of the summer. Transfer marked values. The forward at 14 minor, 12 minors. But it now looks unlikely Chiesa vacates the shirt by leaving the Reds in the final days of the window. After his last gasp strike against Bournemouth on the Premier League's opening night, he said, "We'll talk to Liverpool, but I'll be honest, I'm happy here." Carabao Cup third-round draw in full as Everton face Wolves and Liverpool draw Southampton. The Carabao Cup third-round draw takes place tonight with Everton facing Mansfield in the second round and Liverpool already in the hat. Good evening and welcome to the Liverpool Echo's live coverage of the Carabao Cup third-round draw. Everton are to play Mansfield Town of League One at their new Hill Dickinson Stadium before the draw takes place. The winner of that second round clash will take their place in the pot for the third round. Meanwhile, Liverpool only enter the competition at the third round stage due to their European commitments. Arne Slot's also side qualified for this season's Champions League. The Reds will be hoping to go one better than last season and win the competition, as they lost the 2024-25 final at Wembley Stadium to Newcastle United. That is, if the Blues don't have anything to say about it, and go on a cup run to end their 30-year trophy drought. In total, there will be 32 teams in the third round of the draw, once all matches in the current stage have taken place. The third round draw is scheduled to take place after Manchester United's meeting with League Two outfit Grimsby Town on Wednesday night. Liverpool have growing confidence over huge transfer amid Alexander Isak and Marc Guehi moves. Liverpool hold interest in Alexander Isak from Newcastle United and Marc Guehi from Crystal Palace ahead of Monday's transfer deadline day Liverpool. are reportedly ready to greenlight a spending spree exceeding $150 million before the summer window closes. They have set their sights on Alexander Isak and will make a move if they receive any indication from Newcastle United that a deal is possible. Isak is already on strike, has expressed his desire to join Liverpool, and now it could simply be a matter of whether Newcastle can secure replacements after having a second offer of 55 million rejected for Wolves striker Jørgen Strand Larsen. There is also growing confidence at Anfield that a deal for Crystal Palace captain Marc Guehi could still be finalized before Monday's deadline, reports the Mirror. Palace are eager to focus on Thursday's Europa Conference League playoff with Fredrikstad, while they are also seeking to bolster their defense. Palace chairman Steve Parish is likely to demand around 40 million, but Guehi only has a year left and could depart on a free next summer. Liverpool are sure to want to negotiate a lower price. There is no other serious interest in him in this window, but Manchester City would certainly be ready to act if he was available for nothing next year. This leaves Palace with a significant dilemma, and, having rejected around 70 million for Guehi last summer, Parish conceded last week they may have to sell because they cannot afford to lose him for free. Time is running out for Liverpool in their pursuit of Isak, with any potential transfer still hanging in the balance after the Sweden striker reaffirmed his position to Newcastle bosses this week. The Magpies' leadership had been hoping to broker a truce. The Reds have seen one 110 million offer knocked back, with Newcastle holding out for 150 million, but the deal could ultimately depend on whether Eddie Howe can secure replacements. Wolves remain determined not to part with Strand Larsen, whilst Brentford have rejected a 40 million approach for Jon Wissa, and that could prove crucial to any Isak transfer. The striker, who has been working out separately since missing Newcastle's pre-season tour, has sat out both opening fixtures and now looks set to prioritize international duty over club commitments. Sweden have named him in their squad for next month's World Cup qualifiers against Slovenia and Kosovo. Sweden boss Jon Dahl Tomasson said on Isak's selection, "I am very happy that Alexander Isak wants to be in the squad. He is a huge player. The situation he is in is not perfect, and he has not trained with the team. But he is a player who can decide matches, and he wants to be part of our squad. The World Cup is important for Alexander Isak." Liverpool plan next steps for Blockbuster 190 million transfer raid, involving Alexander Isak. Newcastle are demanding 150 million for Alexander Isak, while Crystal Palace captain Marc Guehi is valued at 40 million, and Liverpool want to sign both players. This summer, Liverpool are ready to go all out on a 150 million plus trolley dash before the end of the summer window. They have got Alexander Isak in their sights and will make a move if they are given any encouragement from Newcastle that a deal can be struck. Isak is already on strike, has made it clear he wants to go to Liverpool, and now it could just be a case of whether Newcastle can sign replacements after having a second bid of 55 million turned down for Wolves striker Jørgen Strand Larsen. There is also a growing confidence that a deal for Crystal Palace captain Marc Guehi could still happen before Monday's deadline. Palace are keen to get Thursday's Europa Conference League playoff with Fredrikstad out of the way, while they are also looking to bring in defensive reinforcements. Palace chairman Steve Parish is likely to want around 40 million, but Guehi only has a year left and could leave on a free next summer. Liverpool are certain to want to negotiate a lower price. There is no other serious club in for him in this window, but Manchester City would certainly be ready to move if he was available for nothing next year. That leaves Palace with a huge dilemma, and having turned down around 70 million for Guehi last summer, Parish admitted last week they may have to sell because they cannot afford to lose him for free. It will also be a race against time for Liverpool. On Isak, and any potential deal still remains in the balance as the Sweden striker reiterated his stance to Newcastle directors this week. The Newcastle hierarchy had been hoping to reach a peace agreement. Liverpool have had one bid rejected of 110 million. And Newcastle have been demanding 150 million, but the deal is just as likely to hinge on whether Eddie Howe can replacements in. Wolves are adamant they will not sell Strand Larsen, while Brentford have snubbed a 40-meter bid for Yoane Wissa, and that is the key to any Isak deal. Isak, who has been training alone since missing Newcastle's pre-season tour, has not played in either of the opening 2 games, and he is now likely to play for Sweden ahead of Newcastle. Sweden have called him up for their World Cup qualifiers with Slovenia and Kosovo next month. Sweden coach John Dahl Tomasson said of Isak's call-up, "I am very happy that Alexander Isak wants to be in the squad. He is a huge player. The situation he is in is not perfect and he has not trained with the team. But he is a player who can decide matches and he wants to be part of our squad. The World Cup is important for Alexander Isak." Liverpool suffers double setback after Rio Ngumoha's record-breaking moment. Liverpool's U21s and U18s both suffered defeats in their latest matches, with the latter seeing a red card for defender Harvey Owen in a 2-1 loss to Aston Villa. It's been a week of record-breaking for one Liverpool youngster. However, while Rio Ngumoha's thrilling last-minute goal against Newcastle crowned the 16-year-old the club's youngest-ever goal-scorer in the Premier League, there was a sense of disappointment in other areas of the youth division. Both the U21s and U18s suffered narrow losses in their inaugural competitive home matches under new head coaches, despite dominating possession and opportunities. In Monday's Premier League 2 match, Rob Page's U21 players fell to a 3-2 defeat by Burnley, even though they took an early lead courtesy of an own goal from visiting defender Jack McAvilly. Goals on either side of the halftime whistle from Cian McMahon-Brown and Manuel Benson put Burnley ahead before Kieran Morrison, a regular scorer last season, delivered a stunning equalizer. Morrison cut in from the right and finished into the corner. However, Liverpool conceded the winning goal just 4 minutes later when McMahon-Brown bagged his second. The Reds had a strong lineup for the game, with Trey Nyoni, Armin Pexey, Calvin Ramsey, Jayden Dans, and the impressive Trent Cone Doherty all involved. Meanwhile, the U18 players, led by new manager Simon Wiles, were defeated 2-1 by Aston Villa on Tuesday in their first U18 Premier League Cup group match. All the goals were scored within the first 18 minutes. Villa quickly established a solid lead through Woody Burgess and Marky Mead before Joe Bradshaw assisted Josh Sonny Lambie to bring Liverpool back into the game. Despite dominating the majority of the match, Liverpool's efforts were hindered when defender Harvey Owen was shown a second yellow card and subsequently sent off. Owen's dismissal came with just 14 minutes left on the clock. The Reds' next Premier League 2 fixture is against Stoke City this Friday, with kickoff scheduled for 7 p.m. Meanwhile, the U18s will return to action in the U18 Premier League North against Burnley on Saturday with an 11 a.m. start. 3 signings Liverpool could make before the transfer deadline. Liverpool have had a productive summer with 5 major signings in Jeremy Frimpong, Milos Kerkez, Florian Wirtz, Hugo Ekitike, and Giovanni Leoni. The Anfield clubs still have unfinished business and could make a few additions to the squad before the transfer window closes on September 1st. Let's have a look at 3 signings Liverpool could make before the transfer deadline. Alexander Isak, Newcastle United. The Sweden international has been pushing for a move to the Merseyside Giants over the past few weeks, but Newcastle have yet to change their stance on the striker. The Magpies have already turned down an offer worth $110 million from the Reds for their marksman, and they want at least $150 million to contemplate his departure. Even then, Eddie Howe's side may want a replacement to sanction his sale. As things stand, they are pushing to land Wolverhampton Wanderers' Jørgen Strand Larsen. There could be a late twist in the tale. Newcastle may not want to keep an unsettled striker who does not wish to play them. Isak has not trained with the team for weeks. Liverpool should be quietly confident of landing Isak before the transfer deadline on Monday. Marc Guehi, Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace co-owner Steve Parish has admitted that the club will reluctantly sell Marc Guehi this summer if he does not put pen to paper on a new contract. The England international's current deal expires in June 2026, and the Eagles may not want to lose him on a free transfer or a cut-price move at the beginning of next year. Palace presently value their captain at 40 million, but Liverpool wish to pay less for the central defender. Guehi would be a fabulous signing for the Reds with his strong physical presence and duel-winning ability. He could become a mainstay in the starting 18th as the season progresses. With Ibrahima Konaté's uncertain future and shaky start to the campaign, the Blues graduate has the opportunity to stake a claim for a starting berth alongside Virgil van Dijk. As the transfer deadline approaches, Liverpool could persuade Palace to provide a discount on Guehi. They could secure an agreement for 30 million, 35, including add-ons. Rodrigo, Real Madrid. The Brazil international has had a challenging career at Madrid since Xabi Alonso took charge as the new manager. He has been a regular unused substitute under the Spanish tactician. Rodrigo started ahead of Vinicius on the left wing last weekend amid the speculation, but we won't be surprised if the 24-year-old pushes for an exit before the transfer deadline. Rodrigo would be a fabulous recruit for the Reds, given he can comfortably play on either wing. He is most effective from the left flank and could provide strong competition for places. The Santos graduate is brilliant with the ball at his feet and is blessed with pace and quick dribbling skills. He has a good shot conversion rate and missed just one big chance in La Liga last term. Madrid won around $69 million for their prized asset. If Liverpool were to sign Isak first, they could seek to negotiate a season-long loan deal for Rodrigo with an obligation to buy next summer.